Good morning, thank you for coming. This is the Selection Advisory Committee for the RFQ 24-06-AD that was due last year, August 19th, 2024. And sorry for the delay, but due to the hurricanes and staff changes, we're getting to it right now. For introductions, my name's Debbie Glavin. I am the Contracts and Procurement Specialist for the town of Fort Myers Beach.
I'm Joe Wanzik, the Finance Director.
Mark Ashton, Utilities Manager.
Jason Freeman, Deputy Clerk.
I'm Amy Baker, Town Clerk, and just for the record, Jason and I are not part of this committee. We're just here for support to Deb, since this is her first meeting.
I'm Frankie Kropatchik, the Operations and Compliance Director for the town of Fort Myers Beach.
Jeff Hauge, the Community Services Director, Town of Fort Myers Beach.
Chad Schutz, environmental staff.
So everyone up here except for Jason, Amy, and myself were on the selection committee. There are 20 categories for this RFQ, and we will go through them as well as we can if we get through them all today, or we may have to have another meeting. On April 21st, we'll go to town council with our recommendations and to see if they approve, and then from there we will notify the companies that have been awarded the bids. So to start with, we are gonna start with category 101 that was on the bid. Now, all the selection committees have their ranking. They don't have each other's rankings. So they're gonna just discuss what they believe. They can talk about the top ones, or I can say the rankings, or how you guys want to do it. There was 10 firms that submitted for water resource. So would
Do you want to name the firms?
Coastal Engineering, Johnson Engineering, Tetra Tech, Hyatt Survey, Haley Ward, Bowman Consulting, AIM Engineering.
Nope,
No,
that's
I
not
don't
one.
think we have coastal engineering and water
Yeah.
resources.
Nope.
Starts with AIM.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I've got Bowman.
First one?
Yeah. Water resources. Wow.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mine are in the ranking order, so I'll
okay,
redo
okay,
it.
okay.
AIM Engineering, RWA, LJA, and
Castellanos.
Castanelas. Excuse if I butcher anybody's company. I will get better at this. So, how would you like to proceed, Joe? Would you like to talk about your top, or do you want me to start with the top ranking?
I think you just,
Up to
how
them.
we've done it, of course, it's just the top rankings, and then
How about as a committee, you decide how many you're going to accept or rank, or did they all have everything required of that discipline or that category, and then decide how many you're going to pick as your selection?
the top. Sometimes they do five. I think in the past we've done 3.
It's totally up to the committee.
Yeah, and my feelings, I talked briefly with Deb and Jason when we were talking not about rankings, but about selection, and getting groups in here. The situation that we find ourselves here in Fort Myers Beach is, as you know, we're rebuilding. And I didn't want to limit ourselves as far as contractors that could possibly be able to help us, or vendors that could possibly help us in the future. Sometimes you contact one to do a certain project, and all of a sudden you need another one, and you can't really cross-mingle the projects due to federal funding, state funding, whatsoever. So it was always my contention to try to get that virtual Rolodex and have as many top-ranked professionals as we could without overloading the system. Not only does that give more people a chance to work with the town of Fort Myers Beach, but it also provides us a greater pool for talent. There are certain companies that are tried and true, and we know that, and you kind of go with that, and that'll come out in the rankings. But yeah, whatever the
5. You wanna go 5
my committee may.
I would go all. I mean, we can just keep all and keep it all ranked. Have everybody on the Rolodex.
I mean, to that point, yeah. But when you do that, there are certain people that don't have qualifications, and, you know, you'll have that one or two, and all of a sudden it drops off.
Okay.
So I would prefer like maybe the top 5.
Okay. We have some in this category that, are tied. So I could go the top, because they're tied, it would be the top, for ranking purposes, if people see it, would be the top 4, because I have 2 at 2. Would you like me to just tell you which ones are the top?
Yeah.
And then,
Let's say
and then
top.
we can discuss if there's, an issue anyone finds with any of the ones that are in the top 5, please speak up. So, the first one is coastal engineering consultants.
We're still on water resource? 'Cause
Yes.
CEC was in water resources?
No, I don't have
No, I
that
don't have
either.
that one either.
You bid it.
No, we did not.
No.
No, because I'm not on it, I'm just testing you.
What?
Come on!
So I think it might be helpful too, when Deb gets on the right page over here,
Yes,
To,
again, I'm new.
to, if you guys all have
Yeah.
your scores for those, well,
So now I've
she
started.
has them in rank order, she'll read them out, and if you wanna read everyone's individual scores and give the total, that way everyone out here and in TV land knows the numbers they're working
The
with.
scores that, the committee,
Each committee
Okay.
member, read their score, and then,
okay.
the overall
So, start
number.
again, water resource, I am on the right category, again, I apologize. Tetra Tech is number 1. Joe and Frankie both scored 100, Jeff scored 92, Mark scored a 90, and Chad scored an 83, for a total of 465 points out of 500, and they were ranked number 1. Johnson Engineering is ranked number 2. Joe scored a 99, Frankie 100, Jeff 79, Mark 71, and Chad 72, for a total of 421. Again, they're number 2. Johnson Engineering, Joe scored RWA, Joe scored a 98, Frankie scored a 85, Jeff scored a 88, Mark scored a 70, and Chad scored a 62, for 403. And then we had a tie with J.R. Evans Engineering. Joe scored a 95, Frankie scored a 95, Jeff scored a 78, Mark scored a 61, and Chad scored a 74, for again 403 points. And then Boeing Consultants. Joe scored an 80, Frankie scored a 90, Jeff scored an 87, Mark scored a 67, Chad scored a 74, for a total of 398, and that is your top 5. Do you have any issues with the top 5? We have a motion.
I move to go forward with the top 5.
I'll second.
vote.
Joe? Are you good with the?
Yes, I agree.
All in favor? Aye.
Yeah, you just take a vote on
You
it.
just take a vote.
Aye.
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 I,
Okay, and then once again, you wanna read the top 5 for which category you're talking about.
So 101, water resourcing, the top 5 are Tetra Tech, Johnson Engineering, RWA, J.R. Evans Engineering, and Bowen Consultants.
Perfect. Now repeat that for 102 and just keep going.
102 is architectural design. Again, we had a tie here. The top 5 are ADG Architect, K2M Design, GMA Architects, Burt Hill, and RG Architects.
could you repeat those, Deb? I'm just trying to follow along and mark them as the top 5 on my own.
ADG,
Okay,
K2M.
and these are alphabetical order?
No, these are ranked.
Oh, sorry, okay, I'm just trying to, there's so many, I'm just trying to find them. Okay, so K2M,
GMA,
okay,
Burt Hill,
shoot, okay.
and RG.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. On the ADG was ranked number 1. Joe scored a 99, Frankie 100, Jeff 94, Mark 80, Chad 84, for a total of 457 points, and again, they're named number 1. K2M Design, Joe scored 100, Frankie 95, Jeff 85, Mark 67, and Chad 86 for a total of 433 points. GMA Architects, Joe scored a 99, Frankie 100, Jeff 84, Mark 72, and Chad 71 for a total of 426. Burt Hill, Joe scored 100, Frankie 100, Jeff 84, Mark 72, and Chad 66 for a total of 422. RG Architect, Joe scored a 98, Frankie 100, Jeff 81, Mark 69, Chad 74, and it was a tie for 422. So that is your top 5. Again, it's ADG Architect, K2M Design, GMA Architect, Burt Hill, and RG Architect. Do we have any issues with those top 5? Motion to approve?
I motion.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Yeah. I was
Okay,
gonna
that's
say,
fine.
so Mark
Roll
made the
call.
motion, Frankie made the second, and then,
Say
all in favor,
And
say
all in
aye.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
There you go.
Okay,
Oh,
Thank
we're on a
you.
roll now.
I'm
We'll
getting
get
there.
it. By the end, we'll have it.
yes. All right, we're on 103, stormwater. So the top 5 we have is Tetra Tech, Johnson Engineering, CW3, Insight, and Bowman, sorry. On Tetra Tech, number 1, Joe and Frankie scored 100, Mark 87, Jeff 90, and Chad 86 for a total of 463 points. Johnson Engineering, Joe scored 99, Frankie 100, Mark 70, Jeff 90, and Chad 81 for 440, and that's the ranking number 2. CW3 Engineering is number 3, Joe is 98, Frankie's 100, Mark 65, Jeff 83, Chad 71 for 417 points. Insight is Joe's 97, Frankie 100, Mark 61, Jeff 81, Chad 76 for 415. And the 5th one on stormwater is Bowman Consultants. For Joe, he scored a 95, Frankie 100, Mark 61, Jeff 81, Chad 63 for 410, and that's your top 5. Again, it's Tetra Tech, Johnson Engineering, CW3 Engineering, Insight, and Bowman. Any issues with any of those 5?
No?
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve.
motion to approve.
I second.
Thank you. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Thank you. The next category is 104, water distribution. Again, we had a tie for 4th place, so it'll be the top 4 with the tie. It'll be Tetra Tech, CW3 Engineering, RWA, Bowman and Consulting, and Weston Sampson Engineering. Those are our top 5. Tetra Tech received 100 from Joe and Frankie, Jeff 92, Mark 87, Chad 82 for a total of 461. CW3 Engineering, Joe scored them 99, Frankie 100, Jeff 84, Mark 71, Chad 72 for a total of 426 points. RWA 98, Joe 85, Frankie, Jeff scored them 88, Mark 70, Chad 81 for 422 for the 3rd spot. Bowman Consultant and Weston were the top 4, or tied for 4th. Bowman received 96 from Joe, 90 from Frankie, 87 from Jeff, 65 from Mark, and 66 from Chad for 404. Weston received a 95 from Joe, 85 from Frankie, 83 from Jeff, 72 from Mark, and 69 from Chad for 404. That is your top 5. So again, it's Tetra Tech, CW3, RWA, Bowman, and Weston. Do we have any issues with those top 5? No? A motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
I will second. Oh.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Perfect, thank you. The next category, surveying services. Again, we had a tie, and it was for second place. The top 5 will be Coastal Engineering, Johnson Engineering, Tetra Tech, Hyatt Survey, and Haley Ward. Coastal Engineering received 100 points from Joe, 90 from Frankie, 89 from Jeff, 71 from Mark, and 91 from Chad, for a total of 441 points. Johnson Engineering,
Darn Siri, shush.
Johnson Engineering received 99 points from Joe, 100 from Frankie, 84 from Jeff, 70 from Mark, and 73 from Chad for 426 points. Tetra Tech tied Johnson Engineering for the second spot, 100 from Joe, 90 from Frankie, 89 from Jeff, 87 from Mark, and 60 from Chad for 426. Hyatt Surveying received a 95 from Joe, 100 from Frankie, 84 from Jeff, 59 from Mark, and an 84 from Chad for 422 points. And Haley Ward received an 80 from Joe, 100 from Frankie, 94 from Jeff. Mark scored them 80, and Chad scored them 67 for 421 points. That's your top 5. You got Coastal Engineering, Johnson Engineering, Tetra Tech, Hyatt Surveying, and Haley Ward. Are we good with those top 5?
Yes.
Any
Yes.
issues? Okay. A motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
If you could just say who made the motion in the second, so our transcriptionist can,
For the minutes.
for the minutes,
Okay.
will know that,
So to,
just from here out, just.
okay,
we'll-
so Frankie and Mark on the, that's, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll just summarize the motion at the end. You know,
Okay.
motion by selection member this, seconded by that.
Okay,
All in favor, yeah.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. 106, landscaping architect. Here we had 7 companies participated. The top 5 will win the bid. It was Johnson Engineering, Insight, RWA, LJA Engineering, and Bowman. Johnson Engineering received 99 points from Joe, 100 from Frankie, 91 from Jeff, 70 from Mark, 73 from Chad for 433 points. Insight, Joe and Frankie both scored them 100. Jeff scored them 85, Mark 71, and Chad 75 for 431. RWA received 95 from Joe, 85 from Frankie, 82 from Jeff, 71 from Mark, and 74 from Chad for 407. LJA Engineering received an 80 from Joe, 100 from Frankie, 83 from Jeff, 48 from Mark, and 74 from Chad for 385. And Bowman Consultant received a 65 from Joe, 100 from Frankie 90, Jeff 87, Mark 65, Chad 55 for 362. The top 5 for landscape is Johnson Engineering, Insight, RWA, LJA Engineering, and Bowman. Are we good with all those 5?
Motion to approve?
Chad, motion to approve.
I'll second.
Second was from Jeff. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. On to 107, and that's community improvement. The top 5 here are Insight, K2M Design, GMA Architect, RWA, and Axis. Did I pronounce that correctly? Yes. Okay, thank you. All right, Insight, Joe scored 100, Frankie scored them 98, Jeff 80, Mark 71, and Chad 80 for a total of 429. K2M received 100 from Joe, 95 from Frankie, Jeff 83, Mark 67, Chad 80, 425. GMA, Joe scored them, 90, Frankie 99, Frankie 100, Jeff 84, Mark 72, Chad 65, 420. RWA, Joe scored them 99, Frankie 80, Jeff 90, Mark scored them 70, and Chad scored them 75, 414 points. And Axis received 90 from Joe, 100 from Frankie, 82 from Jeff, 62 from Mark, and Chad scored them 77 for 411 points. Again, the top 5 are Insight, K2M, GMA, RWA, and Axis. Any issues with those top 5?
A motion to approve?
Mark did the motion to approve,
Second.
and Frankie seconded the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Electrical is the next category, 108. And the top 5 here are Johnson Engineering, Tetra Tech, Graph, did I pronounce that right?
Sure.
Sounds right.
Okay. K2M and Axis. Johnson Engineering, Joe scored them 98, Frankie 100, Jeff 85, Mark 70, and Chad 79 for 432 points. Tetra Tech received 99 from Joe, 100 from Frankie, 85 from Jeff, 87 from Mark, and 52 from Chad for 423. Graph USA received 95 from Joe, 93 from Frankie, 86 from Jeff, 72 from Mark, and 74 from Chad for 420 points. K2M received 63 from Joe, 100 from Frankie, 78 from Jeff, 67 from Mark, 75 from Chad for 383. And Axis received 63 from Joe, Frankie 100, 95 from Jeff, 62 from Mark, and 59 from Chad for 379. Again, it's Johnson Engineering, Tetra Tech, Graph, K2M, and Axis. Are we good with them?
Yes.
All
Make a
five.
motion to approve?
Motion to approve from Jeff,
I'll second.
and second from Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Perfect, thank you. 109 is structural. The number 1 is Jezerin Ek. I'm pronouncing it wrong, I am very sorry, Jezerac. They're number 1, Bolt is number 2, Weston is number 3, Axis is number 4, and Forefront is number 5. The first company scored 1, ranking 1, Joe and Frankie scored them both 100, Jeff 84, Mark 60, and Chad 74. Apologize to that company again for not having the correct pronunciation. Bolt is number 2, 99 for Joe, 100 for Frankie, 82 for Jeff, Mark 71, and Chad 45 for a total 397. Weston is number 3 for 95 points from Joe, 75 from Frankie, 89 from Jeff, 72 from Mark, and 51 from Chad for 382 points. Axis received 63 from Joe, 100 from Frankie, 95 from Jeff, 62 from Mark, and 56 from Chad for 376. And the 5th one is Forefront. They received 80 from Joe, 95 from Frankie, 87 from Jeff, 72 from Mark, and 40 from Chad for 374. Again, the top 5 is Jezerac, it's Jezerac group, Bolt, Weston, Axis, and Forefront. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, as stated.
Frankie, motion to approve,
I'll second.
and Mark seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect, thank you. We're almost halfway done. Geotechnical, we only had 3 companies that bid. Radice International, Professional Services, and Castellone.
Yeah.
Again,
Castellani or
yeah.
something like that.
The first company received 100 from Joe, 85 from Frankie, 98 from Jeff, 59 from Mark, and 60 from Chad.
Which
For-
company was that?
Red Ice,
Alright, second.
402. Professional services, Joe received 99, scored them 99, Frankie 85, Jeff 93, Mark scored them 53, and Chad scored them 45 for 375 points. And Castellanos, Joe scored them 10, Frankie scored them 90, Jeff scored them 81, Mark scored them 66, and Chad scored them 4 for 251.
I would move to accept only the first two.
Like to discuss?
What's the reason behind that, Chad?
I just didn't see expertise in geotechnical in
I,
the Castellanos.
I would agree with Chad, that's why I scored them so low. So I would agree with going with the first two, as well.
Sounds good.
I don't have a problem with that.
No, I don't have a problem. I was just curious.
Okay.
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve by Mark?
Wait.
That would be the second.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
it's a second.
Second to Chad.
Chad
Second,
made the
Chad.
motion.
Okay. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So just to recap, you've only accepted the top two in that
For that
field.
Red Ice and professional services.
Got it.
Civil engineering is next. Tetra Tech, Insight, RWA, Bowman, and AIM were our top 5. Tetra Tech received 99 points from Joe, 95 from Frankie, 87 from Jeff, 87 from Mark, and 54 from Chad for 422 points. Insight received a 98 from both Joe and Frankie, 83 from Jeff, 71 from Mark, and 63 from Chad for 413 points. RWA scored 100 with Joe, 80 with Frankie, 83 with Jeff, 70 with Mark, and 74 with Chad, for a total of 407. Number 4, Bowman, received an 89 from Joe, 95 from Frankie. Jeff scored 88 points, Mark scored Bowman 70 points, and Chad 63 for 405. The 5th company, AIM Engineering, Joe scored them 75, Frankie 100. Jeff scored them 85, Mark 75, and Chad 69 for a 402. The top 5 again are Tetra Tech, Insight, RWA, Bowman, and AIM. Are we good with those 5?
Make a motion to approve.
Jeff made a motion to approve,
Second.
and Frankie seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect, thank you. We're more than halfway done now. 112 was building services. We only had 4 companies that bid: Tetra Tech, Cap Government, Castellanos, and J.R. Evans. Tetra Tech received a 99 from Joe, Frankie 98, Jeff 88, Mark scored them 87, and Chad 50 for 422. Cap Government 95 from Joe, Frankie scored them 80, Jeff scored 84, 63 points from Mark, and 74 from Chad for 396. Castellanos received 10 points from Joe, 100 from Frankie, 86 from Jeff, 61 from Mark, and 73 from Chad for 330 points.
No, it should not be 73 for me. For Castellanos on building services?
Mm-hmm.
No, planning and yes, building services.
That would be, I scored a 15. That's what I have here. For building services on Castellanos.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you my other ones just to make sure that we have the other numbers. So I have 74 for Cap Government, 73 for J.R. Evans, and 50 for Tetra Tech, and 15 for Castellanos.
Okay, then. Tell me them one more time.
Cap Government 74, Castellanos 15, J.R. Evans, 73, Tetra Tech, 50.
I apologize for that error. J.R. Evans would be number 3 for 382 points. With the correction, Tetra Tech is still number 1, Cap is number 2, J.R. Evans is number 3, and Joe scored them 65, Frankie 100, Jeff scored them 78, Mark 66, and Chad 73 for 382 points. Castanello received 10 points from Joe, 100 from Frankie, 86 from Jeff, 61 from Mark, and 15 from Chad, I'm sorry, for number 4. Is there issues, challenges?
I mean, we can discuss. Again, I didn't see, when I think of building services, development and building services, kind of what we have our permitting staff. I didn't see Castellanos being able to fill that void.
So reading their prospectus that was provided in the bidding documents and looking at, I also looked online, some things that they do. I felt that they had enough supporting evidence to give them a score of equaling all the categories that I cast them in.
Okay, it's your department.
So they will be number 4?
That's fine. That's fine.
Motion?
Motion to approve.
Mark started the motion to approve,
Second?
and Frankie seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Transportation. Johnson Engineering's number 1, AIM Engineering's number 2, Cordano is number 3, Traffic and Mobility is 4, and Bowman is 5. Johnson Engineering received 100 from Joe, 98 from Frankie, 76 points from Jeff, 70 points from Mark, and 81 from Chad for 425. AIM Engineering received 100 from Joe, 98 from Frankie, 82 from Jeff, 75 from Mark, and 40 from Chad. Coronado received 95 from both Joe and Frankie, 80 from Jeff, 74 from Mark, 50 from Chad. I'm sorry, AIM was 40%. Traffic Mobility was 75 from Joe, 96 from Frankie, 79 from Jeff, 57 from Mark, 74 from Chad for 381 points. Bowman received 80 from Joe, 100 from Frankie, 81 from Jeff, 70 from Mark, and 49 from Chad for 380 points. That is your top 5. Johnson Engineering, AIM, Cordano, Traffic, and Bowman. Any issues with those?
Motion to approve.
Chad motion to approve,
I will second.
and Jeff seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Planning and zoning is next. 114 on the bid. Axis is number 1, Tetra Tech number 2, Cordano 3, Johnson Engineering 4, and Bowman 5. Axis scored 100 with both Joe and Frankie, 98 with Jeff, 62 with Mark, and 92 with Chad for 452 points. Tetra Tech, 99 points from Joe, 100 from Frankie, 91 from Jeff, 87 from Mark, and 69 from Chad for 446 points. Cordano received 95 from Joe, 98 from Frankie, 84 from Jeff, 74 from Mark, 84 from Chad for 435 points. Johnson Engineering received 100 from Joe, 98 from Frankie, 85 from Jeff, 70 from Mark, and 66 from Chad for 419 points. Bowman Consultant received 45 from Joe, 100 from Frankie, 86 from Jeff, 70 from Mark, and Chad scored them a 46 for 347. We actually had a tie for 5th place, so we will have 6 companies, unless there's an objection to that. LGA Engineering was the 5th, tied for 5th place with Joe for 80, Frankie for 100, 81 from Jeff, 48 from Mark, and 38 from Chad for 347 points. do we wanna discuss the top 6 for here? Any issues?
Yeah, I think you can make a debate for all the scores that we've given them here. That's my feeling anyway.
Yeah, move to accept all 6.
I'll second.
Chad accept all 6 and Mark seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. (115) floodplain management is next. Axis received the highest ranking: Johnson Engineering, Cap Government, J.R. Evans, and AIM. Joe scored Axis 99 points, Frankie 100, Jeff 98, Mark 62, and Chad 83 for 442 points. Johnson received 100 from Joe, 98 from Frankie, 86 from Jeff. Mark scored them 71, and Chad scored them 57 for 412 points. Cap received the 3rd ranking. Joe scored them 80, Frankie 86, Jeff 90, Mark 63, Chad 85. J.R. Evans received 65 from Joe, 100 from Frankie, 83 from Jeff, 61 from Mark, and 78 from Chad. And AIM Engineering came in 5th with 83 from Joe, 100 from Frankie, 82 from Jeff, 75 from Mark. Chad scored them 26. Would you like to discuss the top 5, or is there an issue with AIM you'd like to? No? Okay,
I move to take the list as presented.
thank you.
I will second.
Frankie with the motion, second with Jeff. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
116 is, we have received no proposals. 117, environmental assessment. Johnson Engineering, Hans Wilson, AIM Engineering, Haley Ward, and Professional Services are the top 5. Johnson Engineering received 100 from Joe, 98 from Frankie, 83 from Jeff, 70 from Mark, and 86 from Chad for 437. Hans Wilson received 90 from Joe, 100 from Frankie, 83 from Jeff, 65 from Mark, and 90 from Chad. AIM Engineering, Joe scored them 100, as well did Frankie. Jeff scored 82, Mark's score was 75, and Chad's was 50. Haley Ward received a 55 from Joe, 100 from Frankie, 95 from Jeff, 80 from Mark, and 65 from Chad. And Professional Services, Joe scored them 100. Frankie scored 89, Jeff gave them an 82, Mark gave them a 53, and Chad scored them 45 for 369 points.
Motion
Any-
to approve?
Motion to approve by Chad,
Second.
and Frankie seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Fantastic. 3 more to go. 118, marine engineering. Coastal engineering, dredging, Bolt, J.R. Evans, and Hans Wilson were the top 5. Coastal engineering received 100 from both Frankie and Joe, 87 from Jeff, 73 from Mark, and 96 from Chad. Dredging marine received a 97 from Joe, a 98 from Frankie, an 89 from Jeff, 76 from Mark, and a 50 from Chad. Bolt received 98 from Joe, 100 from Frankie, 87 from Jeff, 71 from Mark, and 40 from Chad. J.R. Evans received a 55 from Joe, 100 from Frankie, 83 from Jeff, 61 from Mark, 66 from Chad for 365. And Hans Wilson received a 95 from Joe. Frankie did not bid them, 86, 80 from Jeff.
I didn't have them on my list. They weren't on my sheet.
How could you? Want to go back to this? We'll
Yeah.
make a motion.
Yeah.
118 Marine, we will revisit. Motion to approve?
To revisit?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And, GSI, we need to revisit also, please.
GSI?
Yes.
The next
One
category.
19, the next category.
Gotcha.
Motion to approve Marine revisit was Chad, and do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Frankie, all in favor?
Madam Contracts Manager, could we clarify on what revisit would be?
We will, Frankie didn't not have, two companies on his list when bidding, so we have to rescore.
Schedule another meeting.
Yeah, we'll schedule another meeting, I'm sorry. And GSI, the same, I found an error on the sheet, so,
GIS.
just to verify, I would like to reschedule also for that.
And that's GIS.
GIS, sorry.
Say there was an error on the sheet as far as getting the scores from us, or?
No, I found,
Discrepancies. in
there's
company?
discrepancy on the sheet that I wasn't comfortable with,
Okay, all right.
to make sure that we are making a correct decision. Nothing on the scoring, it was, an error on the document.
Okay,
So can we have, a motion to reschedule also for GIS?
I'll motion to reschedule GIS.
Do we need a time frame?
Yeah, it might be a good idea for the committee to pick that date and time if you can before we adjourn, just so that way we can let the public and everybody know.
Okay.
We can get that noticed.
Is this something we can solve soon and to get it done today, or?
Today or tomorrow, I believe we can get this done, but we have to schedule a meeting.
Is it something we can finish up with what you have here, take a recess for some
Probably.
shortish amount of time?
Yeah. We could do that.
Is, Frankie, you're okay with that?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Okay.
Motion to recess?
How many more do you have to go?
We just have one. One more.
One
One more.
History is the last one.
Okay, so just finish what you do have, and then you could take
Okay.
a recess for, I don't know how long you need, 20 minutes, 30
Yeah.
minutes?
That will work. Is that okay with you, Frank?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
History only had two companies that bid, K2M and Castellanolis. K2M received 90 from Joe, 88 from Frankie, 88 from Jeff, 71 from Mark, and 43 from Chad. And then Castellanolis received 35 from Joe, 90 from Frankie, 84 from Jeff, 59 from Mark, and 41 from Chad for 309.
Move to approve as stated?
Second.
Jeff approved, Frankie second, all in favor?
Alright.
Aye.
All right, it is 9:44. Can we reconvene at,
I just,
you have a 10 o'clock?
I can add Hans wasn't in here, and I'm good for that one.
Is,
10
there's,
minutes, fine?
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
Oh, and then how much time do you need for the GIS?
I'll work it, 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay.
Do we need to redo anything on our end, or
I-
it's just your?
It's, I can't answer that until just give me the 10 minutes and then we can reconvene.
So we're in recess for 10 minutes, and
minutes.
we'll reconvene at 9:55.
Thank you.
the time and we're reconvening.
Thank you. It's 10 o'clock and we are reconvening our meeting. Sorry for the delay. Just wanted to verify rankings for the category of 118 Marine Engineering and 119 GIS. Frankie, do you have a rating for Hans Wilson and Associates for Marine Engineering?
Is it 100?
100, so Frankie gave me 100 for the rating, it's on record, and then for graph.
I do not have one for graph.
All right, graph is, regardless, will be in the, even with, if we did a rating of 100, graph would still not be in the top 5. So the ranking for for marine engineering is coastal engineering, dredging, Bolt, J.R. Evans, and Hans. Coastal engineering received 100 from both Joe and Frankie, 87 from Jeff, 73 from Mark, and 96 from Chad, for 456 points. Dredging marine received 97 from Joe, 98 from Frankie, 89 from Jeff, 76 from Mark, and 50 from Chad for 410 points. Bolt engineering received a 98 from Joe, 100 from Frankie, 87 from Jeff, 71 from Mark, 40 from Chad for 396 points. J.R. Evans received 55 from Joe, 100 from Frankie, 83 from Jeff, 61 from Mark, and 66 from Chad for 365. And Hans Wilson comes in 5th at 95 from Joe, 100 from Frankie, Jeff scored them 86, Mark 65. To go on record, I am changing the ranks. We will start again. Coastal engineering is number 1, Hans is number 2, dredging is number 3, Bolt is number 4, and JR is number 5.
Move to accept.
Second?
Motion to approve, or, I'm sorry,
All in favor?
All those in favor?
all those in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
GIS, Tetra Tech is number 1, AIM is number 2, Axis number 3, Bowen is number 4, and LJ is number 5. Tetra Tech received a 70 from Joe, 88 from Frankie, 83 from Jeff, 78 from Mark, and Chad scored them 56. AIM received a 60 from Joe, 90 from Frankie, 76 from Jeff, 63 from Mark, and 53 from Chad. Axis received a 58 from Joe, 90 from Frankie, 83 from Jeff, 54 from Mark, 43 from Chad. Bowen received a 35 from Joe, 90 from Frankie, 73 from Mark, 73 from Jeff, 60 from Mark, and 63 from Chad for 321. And LGA comes in 5th at 70 from Joe, 90 from Frankie, 70 from Jeff, 44 from Mark, and 45 from Chad for 319.
And the top 5 again?
I'm sorry? Tetra Tech, AIM, Axis, Boeing, and LGA. Any issues with those 5?
Motion to approve?
Second?
Mark approved. Frankie second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We already did the 120 historic restoration. We have all our top 5 rankings for all 120 categories. And the next process will be going to town council to see if they approve on April 21st.
As a committee, would you like to decide what you're gonna do with category 118 and 116 where you received no responses?
Sorry, 118?
116 only.
116
One
only.
sixteen, not 118?
No, 118 is marine, we just went through that one.
Okay. So 116, what is 116?
Archaeology.
Yeah, I know archaeology has been difficult because it's such a specialty. I know they've had to, like, what's it called, signal.
Sole source. and-
Sole source, yeah, we have some companies we can use, especially out of, UF that help us out, so I think we're okay on that one.
Okay.
Okay. And then,
Yeah, Madam Contracts Manager, I think you have some notes there if you wanna just echo those on that.
In front of us?
Here. Just procedurally, what the next steps are with the recommendations in the council process.
Okay, after the evaluation, the committee will formulate a recommendation consistent of the list in order or preference of no more than fewer than 3 firms deemed to be the most highly responsive and qualified to perform required services unless noted above. The town manager, after review, will forward the recommendations to the town council for consideration during a regular scheduled council meeting, and again, that council meeting will be April 21st, starting at 9 AM. It will be put on the agenda.
So just to summarize that for everybody listening, these are recommendations that are gonna go before the town manager, who then has the ability to bring those recommendations before the town council at a regularly scheduled meeting, which we're anticipating to be there, can you repeat that?
April 21st.
April
April
21st,
21st.
town council meeting. Through these individual rankings, all of the committee members are under a cone of silence, so they completed those rankings individually. Our
Yes.
contracts manager has compiled those, and the committee has met and deemed the most highly responsive and qualified recommendations through this committee process, and then just wanna make sure everybody understands that these are recommendations then going to the town manager to bring before town council.
As long as there's
Any
no-
questions?
Yep, as long as there's nothing else to discuss, you can adjourn then.
Okay.
Does the, sorry, stupid question. Does the town manager have the authority to reject our recommendations? Or does the council have only the authority to reject the recommendations?
Crickets.
He does have the ability.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he
Send it
does have
back-
the ability
I
to
believe
not
send it back
accept
for
the recommendation.
reconsideration.
Oh, he sends it back for
He would send it back
reconsideration.
to reconsideration.
Back to the committee for
to the committee,
reconsideration.
right.
Alright,
And then
That's cool.
council always has the,
council can do,
They
I
can do
understand
it.
council, I
Yes.
didn't know what the process was if the town manager has an issue with something.
Correct, then typically, the town council can authorize negotiations for whichever firms that they have, ranked as the most responsive and qualified. They make that ultimate decision, then we can come back for an actual award of contracts after that, so it's a procedural process there.
Okay,
Yeah, the award would be in May at some point in time.
okay.
Any other questions?
No,
Thank you
good.
all for being on the
Motion to
committee.
adjourn,
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
I appreciate it, thank you.
and it is 10:08 a.m.